Hi, I'm Chef David Jahnke, and today I would like to share or to teach you a little bit about Mexican chilies and in general just to tell you a little bit about them. Chili. Chili, the word comes from the Nahuatl language, which is the Aztec language. It hasn't changed in many countries we still call it chili. Of course, chili is native to Central America. There are many varieties who come originate native from here. But right now, of course, all over the world, there are different varieties who have been created and they are different than the ones we have here, for example. When we, for example, talking about right now about the hottest chilies or with the most heat units, there's some in India, like the ghost pepper, there's some new in California, and there's still others developing. Every year we have new varieties. They have become very aggressive. They're very spicy, and some people have get into hospitals trying those kind of chilies. In Mexico, of course, that's where it all started. And when the Spanish people came over here, they took them over to the rest of the world. First were the Asian people very interesting in those vegetables, and they also like the heat a lot. Some fact very interesting about the heat, for example, is that when you actually eat a chili with spice and it feels hot and you feel like kind of like in pain, your body sends different signature, goes to your brain, and immediately it will also get you out some of your own endorphins, which is like your own chemistry, and kind of after a certain time you get so used to it that you need those endorphins to stimulate your stomach system or your acids. So in some of the countries I've noticed, if they don't have any heat, they can't even eat. They need the heat to combine with the food, and there's also other facts about it. It helps with the bacteria. It also has, they have a lots of vitamins, they have a lots of nutritional benefits, but we have to be careful. They also can do us a lot of harm. For example, I always recommend with the chilies with a lot of heat, take the seeds away. It makes no sense eating the seeds, we can't digest them. So if they have a lot of heat, which is usually in the veins, membranes, seeds, it's where it's produced all, and that's where it stays the most. When you eat them, and probably it's not so bad in your mouth, but once they come into your stomach section and your acids are chewing on them, you can get a lot of pain. And in Mexico we say they can hurt 3 times. So we want to avoid that, and if you like a lot of heat, if you're one of those macho men who likes the spice, then I recommend take those seeds. You don't have to waste them. You can dry them, roast them, and then you put them in a jar with some olive oil, extra virgin or other kind of oil, avocado oil, and just let them rest 1 month, and then you get some of the heat off, and now you just use the oil, but it wouldn't do so much harm to your intestines. In Mexico we have lots of different chilies. That's kind of right now, if I go right now today to the markets, I went to 3 markets, what I can buy on fresh chilies and also on dehydrated or smoked chilies. The chilies here in Mexico is very confusing, even the industry is confused about it. For example, you can analyze, you have 2 bags from 2 different companies, and they both say exactly the same, chipotle pepper. Both are completely different. One is made, this one which is dark, this is cold smoked. On those ones which are very dry, very tough and solid, and with a very dry color, those are hot smoked. But they both call them chili chipotle. We also know chili chipotle usually in a can, for example, which usually is with a juice, but then it says in adobo, which means it's like in sauce. That's like those smoked chilies are now in the sauce. Very common and very popular right now in international cuisine, Tex-Mex cuisine. No? Of course, we have brine chilies, so lots of different chilies. Jalapenos chilies can be a serrano pepper or even chili güero peppers. Those techniques, they came, of course, when the Spanish people came over here because we didn't have brines. We're working with vinegar and put them in brines. That's a technique we adopted later. That's not so pre-Hispanic. But yeah, in this pre-Hispanic, we always had the cold smoke and smoked chilies, of course, because people would hack them inside their houses to, let's say, let them get dried by the air or by the smoke, which is created by their own hot fireplace they usually had in the houses. And that's how they would make to preserve the chilies, and we still do it. But of course there's also sun-dried, which is very classic. And usually most commercial chilies we buy these days, they're always sun-dried. So we miss that smoky flavor. If we can, we want to buy cold smoked chilies from the dehydrated or preserved chilies. And then of course we also have other products like chili powders, grinded into chips, could be sweet or spicy, even like chipotle, or the classic from the other side like cayenne pepper, or when we have the Spanish smoked bell pepper. Yeah, but they all came at a certain point from the chili family from here. And the ones we use the most here in Mexico are, for example, poblano pepper. We use them for chili relleno, chili nogado, for rajas and other dishes to make stuffings for gorditas and tacos. We have chili verde, which is very native to Guanajuato state here. We use them for stews too. We have, for example, the apple pepper, we call them. They have black seeds inside and they look like an apple. They have like a lot of meat, almost mixed like a bell pepper and an habanero pepper. They do have heat, but not so much, no? We have chili verde or chili cristal. The names can change here. It includes also by the cities or states. We have jalapeno peppers, and you can see the peppers, they will all kind of ripe and change the color. You can do that, let that happen on the plant or from the plant away, because they all start green at some point. We get yellow and then even get red and orange. It happens with most of the peppers. And of course, when you do it outside the plant, you have to have the correct temperature so they won't get bad, no? Here, for example, another varieties of chilies we call also chili verde. That's the classic ones we use for canning, very classic for a dish, for example, from the Spanish cuisine, Spanish bacalao, or we also use it sometimes even like for pescado a la veracruzana, Veracruz style fish. We have habanero peppers, they come in all colors. There's even brown habanero peppers, the chocolate habanero, which are beautiful. Here are some of my own varieties we have created, which is kind of mixes of other peppers. You can see there's like a little jalapeno pepper involved. We also have chili de árbol, which means like the tree pepper. Serrano pepper, it's one of the most classic used for all green salsas and all. It's very common. It's also one of the lower cost chilies. Sadly, highest amount in the world is produced in China actually. We have other small varieties of fresh peppers, Pekin and bolitas, which of course smaller they get, more heat they get. And we have larger varieties also, which are not so spicy. Actually, I always in Mexico, we say, well, smaller they are, more heat they will have, and it's kind of true. I mean, there are varieties, for example, if I look at those ones, for example, that's a chili Pekin. This is like one of my hottest, spiciest peppers. They are almost unedible to eat. They have very thin skin and lots of seeds inside, lots of spice. You can see they have different colors. And then we like the Japanese Pekin. They kind of like that variety and created more the red varieties. That's the Japanese ones. We have the rattle and chili cascabel. It's like a rattle chili, very dry skin, lots of seeds inside. That's why they sound like that. We have chili árbol, which is also fresh but could be dehydrated. Chili bolita, which are like those small rounds. That's why like little balls, also very spicy. Those are dehydrated habanero peppers, rare to find. Of course, lots of heat. And here we have cold smoked jalapeno pepper and hot smoked jalapeno pepper, which we basically call chile chipotle, but this one we will actually call chili morita. From the larger chili varieties, we have, for example, chili guajillo, very classic. That's a sun-dried. In chili poblano pepper, it's fresh. When I just dehydrated in the sun, now it's called chili ancho. If I roast it on the fire, peel it, and then dehydrate it, now it's called chili pasado, the past chili. So those ones already have been roasted, have that smoky flavor, and peeled too. And those one is chili pasilla, beautiful chili, nice or black mole sauces because it's a very dark color. We have also mulatto, which is a different variety, basically, or let's say when the poblano pepper have been ripe and then we dry it. This one is chili navideño. This one comes from Puebla. Those are cold smoked peppers, which they just sell basically during the Christmas season. For Christmas dish, they let's say they stuff them, and well, after stuffing, you put them in egg wrapping around, and they just taste delicious and have that smoky smell, no? But well, that's our fresh chilies. Now let me also show you actually how they grow. So here, just like a few types of varieties of my own chilies, the ones I just showed you in the kitchen, for example. And it's just interesting how they actually grow different. Some of those plants they get taller than me, and they will be for years good. They probably go back when the climate's changing, and then a new plant comes up. This one we call here the árbol, chili de árbol, the chili of the tree, because it's actually hanging like a fruit, like on the tree, and this kind of looks like a tree. The big one here on the back part, that's for example like a poblano pepper. This one here, I have two different varieties. If you can see, this one is different here. Here, if we take a look, the chili, they point up to the top. And they start green, of course, start getting red if I leave them on the plant. This is called chili bolita. And here I have a different tree below here, which is kind of like a different variety of a chili piquin, which has basically a green long chilies. I also have a very small, tiny chili pot here, and this one is a very interesting variety. This one here we have hidden a small red purple chili, which is beautiful, and also the flower, of course, they are purple when they are growing. And there's many other ones. This one, for example, you can see I have some beautiful jalapeno peppers already coming, and here's a different variety of chili piquin. Here's just like a different variety of a poblano pepper, and that's just in general how you can have your chilies. You can have them in flower pots, and they like shade, sunshade half and half, and you can keep them happy. You will have them for a few years. So just like some last tips how to clean the chilies. Be careful, because if we touch too much of those spicy heat chilies and the seeds especially, then well, you kind of will get in your fingers, and it's going to be tough to get that away. You just take some carbohydrate, that kind of helps a little bit, you know. But there's lots of tools we can use to actually work with the chilies. First of all, for the dry chilies, you can soak them first in water, or just like that to get them tender, and then you can cut them with scissors. Works very easy. If you want to take the seeds away, you can put the knife inside and push them out. And there's other wings to take the seeds away. A spoon. This is actually a fish scaler. Good for the big chilies to get in there, to get it out. Even like to take out the inside from the apple. A Parisian knife or small knives just to step in and to cut around the chili. I posted some techniques of that in other videos. You can look it up. Have some gloves so you don't hurt yourself. You know, just in general. Well, I hope you enjoyed the class. I'm Chef David Jahnke. Hope you watch me soon again.